I'm here. I'm just trying to figure something out here. Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay, sorry. Pounding away over here on the computer. I don't know what happened with my screen, but I'm just going to start. Okay. So, there's been a few developments, and I thought everybody should probably um, either research it for yourself. I'm going to put some links up as soon as the stream's over. As you can see, I'm having difficulties here, so um, I can't share what I got right here, so I'm just going to post it. Okay, I'm still trying, but it's not working. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start. And everybody that's here, thank you for showing up. Sorry I'm late. I'm kind of a shit show. I came in hot and I knocked everything over and had to set it back up, and it's been a day. Anyway, so what I wanted to start off with is talking about the investigation of Richard Allen and the investigators that were hired to dig up information or just be fact finders, like Christine said on Gritty's Live back in March of 2025. Christine said they got one hard drive out of several hard drives. They got one hard drive that had tips on it, and they were supposed to find out facts about those tips. I guess who the person was that made them and where it came from, how did they learn about it, and try to find actual evidence and not just hearsay. So they were, as we all know, they were booted off the case, and nobody really knows why, because they haven't been real clear about it. But there is some information about Erica that may have got them booted off. So let me just go ahead and begin, and then I'll dig right into it. What we have is because it's kind of a bizarre circus, what they did. It's like true crime grifting and self-proclaimed experts who somehow worm their way into national TV, because that's what they did. And few tales are quite as hilariously pathetic as that of Erica Morse, the so-called private investigator who strutted around claiming investigator credentials while apparently treating reality like it was just an optional suggestion. And Erica has popped up in high-profile cases. We know. We've seen her act on TV. like the Delphi murders and the Haley Dunn disappearance in Texas. And Erica was at peak performance when she gave an interview on court TV with dramatic revelations about Odinist assassinating FBI agents, for which she had no proof of, and other unhinged nonsense. And I say nonsense because, yes, there are Odinists. Yes, there are Odinist prison guards, but we don't know if this particular prison guard was an Odinist. So we don't know what his assassination was about, the FBI agent. I'm assuming we'll find out if it ever goes to trial. The person that committed the crime was Shane Meehan, as we all know. And I guess he's been declared incompetent now to stand trial. So I guess that's what we're waiting on, is for him to be able to be competent enough to go to trial, and then I guess we'll find out more. But until then, I'm not going to guess about what he was involved in or anything. I can see that, yes, there have been a lot of people that have been unalived in this case or surrounding this case. But you have to have actual proof of things before you start going on court TV and declaring it's true. And she did all this while positioning herself as a crusader for victims' families. And the irony is that Morse has also faced harassment charges. She had the animal cruelty arrest involving neglected and dead cats in her care, and persistent questions about whether she held a legitimate PI license or was just LARPing. So what started out as a supposed quest for justice for Rick Allen devolved into a masterclass in credibility explosion, leaving behind a trail of basically skeptical Reddit threads and outraged Facebook groups and one very embarrassed media outlet or two. And I won't name names, but it was court TV. Now, Erica Morse's story isn't just about a fake private investigator. It's a glorious reminder that in the age of true crime obsession, anyone with a sob story and zero shame can play detective until the actual consequences come knocking. So, in the grand tradition of fake PI train wrecks, Erica Morse's stint with Jensen Investigations, where Jason Jensen supposedly teamed up with her as senior private investigator back in 2023, ended in the predictable dumpster fire fashion you'd expect from someone who bills herself as a crusader. And she's always been followed by online chatter, pissed off Facebook rants and Reddit posts that point to her, behaving unethically. And she actually has caused a lot of controversy in the cases that she becomes involved in. So, Jason Jensen wisely cut his ties before her animal cruelty charges and harassment drama dragged down his whole operation. And the result was a glorious separation. Morse left, flapping in the wind, no longer under the Jensen umbrella, free to rant solo about cover-ups, while the firm presumably pretended she didn't exist. So it's a classic case of a grifter getting grifted right out of the gig. And that's poetic justice. And when all of this was starting to implode, the Comet, the local newspaper, came out and did a story on her, and I will read some of that. Sorry, I'm reading a couple of the messages here because you guys are pretty hilarious. Okay, so in the Comet newspaper, December 23rd, 2024, Amy Graham McCarty did a write-up about those shocking revelations and accusations of a plot to kill an FBI agent connected to the Delphi murders were shared on a recent court TV episode by a woman claiming to be a family advocate and private investigator for Richard Allen's defense team. The catch? She is not speaking on behalf of the defense team, the Carroll County Comet learned this morning. Erica Morse spoke Friday on a podcast, as well as Delphi Media Coalition partner Court TV, making statements to lead listeners to believe there is a larger plot at work among investigators, law enforcement, and others to kill or harm individuals connected to the case. One allegation Morse claims is that FBI task force member Greg Ferenczi was killed by a former prison guard, and he was an Odinist, or she's claiming that he was an Odinist. The defense has long claimed that Abigail Williams and Liberty German were killed as part of a ritualist killing by practicing members of a Norse pagan religion known as Asatru. The members of that group are called Odinist. He was one of the 3 members of the task force tasked with investigating all of the tips related, and I mean all of the tips related, to a particular group of individuals, and Greg authored the report, Morse told Court TV. An email to one of Allen's defense attorneys, Jennifer Auger, shows that Morse is not speaking on behalf of the defense team. The Comet's Amy Graham reached out to Auger Sunday with the following email. This is Amy Graham McCarty with the Carroll County Comet. I'm reaching out to you as a member of the defense team to follow up on statements that were made or that have been made by Erica Morse, a private investigator, who says she was a guard who was an Odinist. She also claims that Meehan killed Mr. Ferenczi 5 days after the Odin report was released. She alludes that this was done to silence Mr. Ferenczi and send a message. She also claims that Mr. Todd Click was arrested because of his involvement in the Odin report. My question is, does Ms. Morse speak for and on behalf of the defense team that represented Richard Allen? Are her claims true? Would you, Mr. Baldwin, Mr. Rossi, be willing to speak with me more about these issues? Monday morning, Auger sent this reply. Ms. Morse is not speaking on behalf of Mr. Allen's attorneys or legal team. We have no knowledge of these accusations as we have been focused on providing a defense for Mr. Allen. A Department of Justice 2021 press release on Ferenczi's death makes no mention of Odinist, Norse pagan religion, or Delphi. In part, the 2021 release states, according to court documents, Shane Meehan, 44, drove his pickup truck to the gate of the FBI resident agency. Meehan exited his truck and threw a Molotov cocktail toward the building. Detective Ferenczi walked out of the building shortly after Meehan threw the incendiary device and was confronted by Meehan, who was holding a firearm. Meehan raised the firearm and shot Detective Ferenczi. Detective Ferenczi was able to return fire to defend himself, but later died. Shortly thereafter, an FBI special agent ran out of the building and engaged Meehan in a gun battle. Despite being shot twice, Meehan got into his truck and fled the scene. Meehan was located at the Vigo County Regional Hospital, where he was treated for his gunshot wounds. A firearm was recovered from Meehan's truck, along with 3 Molotov cocktails and additional ammunition. I'm sorry, I got to take a drink. In November of this year, a judge said Meehan is presently suffering from a mental disease rendering him mentally incompetent to the extent that he is unable to understand the nature and the consequences of the proceedings against him or assist properly in his defense. He was to be hospitalized for up to 4 months to determine if he could move forward with the trial. Attempts to reach a representative at the U.S. Attorney General's office for Southern Indiana were unsuccessful. This is one of the many details that the Delphi case that the state This is one of the many details about the Delphi case that the state does not want the world to know. Is what lost my place. This is one of the many details about the Delphi case that the state does not want the world to know. They do not want the world to know about the number of people associated with this case who have died or have been charged, myself included, Morse told Court TV, because we all know every time she does an interview, anything that's happened has been about her. I have to be careful, but the blood spatter expert who testified at the Delphi trial was at my home, alone inside my home, 2 days before he testified in the trial, and Bob can attest to that. Morse mentions of Bob is Illinois' criminal defense attorney Bob Motta, who sat with Allen's family during the trial. Morse spoke to Motta Friday on his podcast. During that interview, she spoke of how Andrew Baldwin, one of the Allen's defense attorneys, and another individual took her out to the Monon High Bridge Trail and the area where Abby and Libby were killed and asked her to join the defense to help with the case. Morse also told Motta on the podcast, now that I've been cleared to talk to certain individuals, and you and Allie were at the top of that list, we've been cleared to talk to. Throughout her appearances on Motta's podcast and Court TV, Morse uses words like we and team to describe her connection with the defense team throughout the trial. Morse told Court TV during her interview, let's go, I'm ready. I told you I was going to talk the day the gag order was lifted. Let's do this. Motta spoke on Court TV against law enforcement, claiming they were casting shade on the defense for doing their job. In Morse's case, it seems she's doing her job by making statements about the case. According to Auger and Allen's defense team, she's not doing it for them. So that was the news article that did a write-up when this was all going on. Now, so many people have wondered what it was exactly that got her called or got her team booted off the Delphi case, because we've heard her talk about it on her podcast. And well, maybe you haven't because she only has like 400 listeners, but I think this might bring some clarity to the situation that she clearly doesn't want anyone to know about. It seems that our private investigator got slapped with a Class 6 felony battery charge because apparently investigating true crime cases on TV wasn't enough drama for one lifetime. So that was a while back. Now, you may be wondering, how can somebody with a felony become a private investigator? Well, I looked that up too. But this arrest, it's just another delicious layer on her ever-growing cake of chaos, right alongside the latter animal cruelty nonsense and harassment beefs that made even the most gullible Court TV booker rethink their life choices. A level 6 felony battery. She's out here claiming to solve murders while her own rap sheet looks like a true crime bingo card. The hypocrisy is so thick you could spread it on toast and call it justice. So what a fucking masterclass in how not to build credibility, right? Yet somehow she keeps popping up like a bad rash you can't get rid of. Truly, the grift that keeps on giving. Embarrassment. So we have face-palming irony of Erica Morse, a woman whose rap sheet Well, you know what? I'm going to post it, but you can look it up for yourself on My Case Indiana website, um, and type in her name. But it won't come up under Erica Morse. It comes up under Erica Post. So she was right there in Indiana and deciding she was the perfect candidate to strut around as credible private investigator on national fucking television is honestly the chef's kiss level of delusional hubris. And my husband's fixing to walk in, but I'm going to tell him to be quiet, so maybe he won't disturb us. My dog's over there going batshit. Okay. So why did this convicted felon think she could pull off the private investigator cosplay without the universe laughing its ass off? Simple. Because in the ecosystem of true crime media, where bookers prioritize drama over due diligence and passion for cold cases trumps actual qualifications, she gambled that a sob story about helping grieving families, like latching on to the Haley Dunn case and the Delphi case, was a shiny self-proclaimed title would outweigh her criminal baggage. She snagged what she called a PI license, or at least claimed sponsorship under agencies like Jensen Investigations, probably figuring low bar states or lax oversight wouldn't dig too deep into her felony past. After all, private investigation licensing requirements vary wildly. In some places, don't outright ban felons if the crime isn't moral turpitude, or if enough time has passed, though battery sure as shit raises red flags for trustworthiness in handling sensitive cases. But Morse, she bet on pure, unadulterated audacity, appear confident enough on court TV, spouting Odinist murder conspiracies, cry on cue about justice for victims, and hope her own arrest stay buried deep enough. Newsflash, genius, the internet never forgets. And eventually, even producers realize inviting a felon to play detective makes them look like idiots. She didn't think she could pose as credible. She thought the desperation for experts in the true crime grift mill would let her get away with it until the felonies caught up and the whole house of cards collapsed in glorious, predictable flames. So, what a monument to narcissistic blind spots. It's truly inspiring if your goal is to become a walking cautionary tale. But she didn't just drag herself down. We know she let the defense down. Well, we don't know that she let the defense down. She says she was hired by the defense, but we know that she was working under Jensen Investigations, and he was the one that was. I'm live. And he was the one that was hired by the defense. So she was working for Jensen Investigates. And whatever he gave her is what she would be looking for information about. But she dragged down her ride or die sidekick, Christine Sulzer. This tag team trash fire that turned victim advocacy into a full-blown true crime cash grab circus. It's been ridiculous. Christine Sulzer, she founded the Moms on a Mission outfit that's been glued to Morse's hips since at least 2012, playing the long-time partner card in every missing murdered case they latch onto like barnacles on a sinking ship. They co-authored articles on Victims News Online, which is basically Morse's personal propaganda playground, and chased leads in cases like Haley Dunn and unsolved hit and runs, and then hit the jackpot in 2023 when Jason Jensen scooped them up as private investigators for his Indiana expansion. Sulzer rounding out the team as the third wheel in the PI Fantasy League. Together, they wormed their way onto Richard Allen's defense fact-finding gig in February 2023, which is weird because in 2022, she was making posts on her Haley Dunn Facebook page that Richard Allen was arrested because she was working with authorities, and that arrest was because they were all cooperating together. And then in her post, she states that it would have been nice if the Texas police, well, she said the Texas police could learn something from the Delphi case and how to work with people giving them information and private detectives and others. So she was claiming she was working with the cops to arrest Richard Allen. I don't know how his wife feels about that, but I don't think she ever stopped working for them. So I'll post it on my community page, that screenshot. I know Shabooks has it. I sent it to her, and I sent her a copy of the felony conviction. And I mean, if you just look at everything she's been involved with, this is like textbook exploitation wrapped in helping families bullshit. They parlayed advocacy into paid PI roles, or at least the illusion of them, pumped out content on her podcast and her YouTube, and where she whines about police retaliation and false arrests, while Salzer gets name dropped as her battered co-conspirator, and milk the Delphi story for views, donations, sympathy, and whatever scraps of credibility they could scrape together. Salzer's mom's on a mission angle gave it that faux legit concerned mom veneer, because nothing says trustworthy like turning grieving families' pain into podcast episodes and so-called legitimate receipts consisting of a screenshot of an email that some guy sent to prove everyone else is lying. So the dynamic duo got booted because you cannot do much in the way of investigations if you have a felony record. So I think it has become clear why they were booted off the case. She had stated, Erica had stated in an interview with Amy on Case by Case that it took a long time for them to get their PI license. And finally they got it in June 22nd. That's not very long to go find anything out before a trial. That was in 2023. That's not very long to be working to find tips, but whatever. She said that, and they couldn't have been working for very long on the case before they got booted either. So it's been basically this dynamic duo got booted because you can't do much in the way of investigations if you got a felony record, while you drag down everybody else around you. Her loyal enabler, Christine, who's, in quotes, tremendously hurt in the crossfire. It's the perfect symbiotic scam. Morse provides loudmouth conspiracy flair and TV bookings. Salzer adds the mom's emotional hook and long-term partnership cred. And together they grift off of true crime desperation. Views, clicks, possible GoFundMes, and the ego boost of pretending they're cracking cases instead of just stirring shit for attention. What a fucking harmonious train wreck of mutual enabling. If hypocrisy had a buddy cop movie, these two would be the leads. Badgeless and brainless, and eternally convinced they're the heroes. Legendary levels of parasitic partnership. But it doesn't stop there. You would think it would, but no, it doesn't. They have to have Jesus tap dancing Christ, this guy who calls himself the Prof, crashing this already flaming circus like the third-rate true crime YouTube expert he is, peddling the dumbest conspiracy diarrhea imaginable on his channel or whatever sad corner of the internet he squats in. From the scraps of digital trash out there, this self-appointed prof, spoiler, nobody's calling him that except maybe a few deluded subs, dives headfirst into the same fetid pool as Eric Morse, Delphi murders, where there is danger afoot, like shadowy cabals and every other brain-melting theory that makes actual investigators want to bleach their damn eyeballs. He's tangled up in the same grift orbit linked to Erica, Christine, to turn out content or stir shit and pretend they're cracking cases, while begging for views and donations and that sweet, sweet validation from fellow tinfoil hat enthusiasts. Picture the dream team we've assembled here. Erica Cat Killer Cosplay PI, Morse, as a loudmouth front woman spouting Odinist assassination fanfic on court TV. Christine, Moms on a Mission Saucer, as the emotional support enabler providing the faux legit concerned mom cover, while they co-author victim news, online propaganda, and podcast rants. And now Prof, rounding out the trio as the academic veneer, because nothing screams credibility like a dude who calls himself professor while marinating in conspiracy sludge about Delphi cover-ups and what other stupid shit his channel regurgitates. They all latch onto high-profile cases like parasites, pump out receipts of these texts and screenshots that nobody knows where they came from. You can't prove it. And drama. And cry about police retaliation or being disavowed, and milk the true crime desperation machine for clicks and sympathy bucks. What kind of crime-fighting team is this? The kind that couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag if the bag was made of their own bullshit. It's a masterclass in mutual enabling. Morse brings the felony flair in TV bookings. Saucer adds the mom's sob story hook, and Prof throws in pseudo-intellectual Prof gravitas with his wild theories. And together they form the unholy trinity of grifters who turn grieving families' pain into content fodder. They get booted from actual investigations. Shocker. Scream corruption. Dump evidence, and I'm saying evidence in air quotes here, on YouTube, podcast, and their socials, and keep the cycle spinning until the next case or arrest hits. It's not a team. It's a clown car on fire, barreling toward irrelevance while convinced they're the heroes. What a fucking spectacular assemblage of delusional dipshits. If justice had nightmare fuel, this is it. Legendary levels of collective embarrassment. Now, you may think I'm being harsh, but think of the reality of this, pretending to care, while at the same time trying to dirty up the names of other content creators that actually got off their ass and did something. Now, that's pretty shitty. Now, I will post all of my receipts about Erica's arrest on my page, or you can read them for yourself in the My Case on the My Case website. But I did want to bring up something else that I saw on the case-by-case interview of Erica, where she is talking about the video, and Amy asked her three questions, you guys were asking three questions from Erica, like, was the BG video real? And, where did it come from? Blah, blah, blah. She said, remember, she had said that they had one hard drive. They were given one hard drive out of several, and they were to go find facts on those tips. It was a tip hard drive, a hard drive about tips. So she said she didn't see that video until it was played in court. Now, whenever someone asked them, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Prof, asked where did that, did you ever see that before? Where did it come from? And both Christine and Erica have said it wasn't in Discovery. No, it was in Discovery. It wasn't in their Discovery. They had one hard drive. But if she's saying, well, it wasn't in Discovery, then it's not Discovery then, right? And Prof has been on this rant about leak Discovery. Erica and Christine both said this wasn't in Discovery. Now I'm thinking it wasn't in theirs, but they're saying it wasn't in Discovery. So why is anybody ranting about leaked Discovery if this wasn't in it? But that aside, we should probably, whenever some of the things that they say, I believe them. I believe they only got one hard drive of tips. And I don't think it was probably all the tips. I think it was probably just some. But I think they started in on that. And I think what happened was Erica's past came back to haunt her when people found out that she was calling herself a private investigator and working for Jason Jensen Investigates. And in Indiana, I was going to let y'all know what you can go to the indiana.gov website, and they have a lot of the qualifications for a private investigator. And really, it's just a private investigator. There's a firm. You open up a firm, and then that firm has an ID, and you work under that firm's licensing. And let me see here. I have a list of things that you have to be. I got to go back and look. Where did I put it? I can't find it now. I'll just post it on my page. But when it comes to people that do this type of thing and try to hide their past and everything, and I know people have said about the cat situation that wasn't really something that she did, but you're not going to convince me of that, because I've seen the list of things under the name Erica Post of things that she's done. And I've seen the actual papers that were filed in court of houses that were foreclosed on and the money that was owed and damages and things like that. So I don't understand why, if she was supposed to leave this house dirtied up, why anybody wouldn't believe that, or with dead cats. I mean, it sounds like it's kind of her thing. It sounds like it's her MO. So, but anyway, I know whenever you go to, like, whenever I got my criminal justice degree, these are things you learn about also, about people that are surrounding themselves with cases. And it has a lot to do with their psychology. Like they may just have low self-esteem. They want to go to the cops and say, hey, I've got this information I need to give to you. Like they're really helping, but really it's kind of the Dunning-Kruger effect. They think that they are, a detective may take their info, and then from then on, they think that they've got this connection or something, when really a detective may take the info and throw it in the trash can, or he may send someone out to double check. what this is, which you would think that they would do, any tip that they got. But so they start thinking they have this like special relationship with law enforcement or something. And I mean, it's just it's on them, but it causes a lot of harm to everybody around them. And we were actually taught things on how to profile these people. And one thing that the public can do about not getting taken by people like this is, the first thing you should do is ask them for their private investigation license number, or who they're working in. Like in Indiana, if they're working under someone, who they're working under, what that license number is, and where the address is to that specific place, and the phone number, so that everything can be independently verified. If you're a private investigator, you want your shit verified. Like, I'm legit and I'm ready to crack this. I'm ready to get on this. So look me up, because, there it is. And they don't have felonies when you do look them up. So you got to verify every claim that they make. If you're wanting to know if somebody's legit, do they separate hypothesis from fact? How do they respond when proven wrong? We've all seen Erica. If somebody tries to say something that's not in her, line of thinking, it goes against something she says, automatically they are working for the other side. They're a mole. It's a conspiracy against Erica. The whole world is out to get Erica, and apparently Christine and Prof, for their information that they do not have. They do not have any information. The information that was to be had, the attorneys have, and the lead investigator on the case, they have the information. Now, I did notice something Christine had said on Gritty's interview with her, and she had said that maybe it was, I think I'm getting the two confused. Erica, I think it was actually Erica that said this on Case by Case. She said that, hang on a second. Yeah, I think it was Erica on Case by Case. She had said that, like, if they're not legit, if they don't have this or that, how is it that they have recordings of them in their sessions where they were, talking about the case and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, holy fuck. When I heard that, I didn't ever say anything to anybody, but I know the defense attorney that I was working with, because I record everything, but I didn't record him. And he made sure of that. He said, "You are not recording, right?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And he said, "Okay, I just want to make sure," because he knew that I recorded everybody and everything. And he said, because lawyers will not have that. They will not have someone coming in and recording them in a confidential session that they're having, talking about the case. So that can, have a lot of effect on the confidentiality of the case. Like, why is she recording? Is she not taking notes? Does she not know how to transcribe? Or, does she not know how to write? Why is she recording private sessions? Is it so that so she could play it for someone? Like the other side? If I'm going to go down this rabbit hole and conspiracy tinfoil hat land, and this actually sounds kind of legit that they would be doing that to give to the prosecution. Like they were hired to be these little moles or whatever by the prosecution. I don't know. I don't have proof of that. The only thing I see is that every time something was found out on the defense side, the prosecution knew about it. And like the Reese Davis letters and things that Erica's been griping about here recently, it was because of Amy that anybody has that information, because the prosecution, in opposition to Brady rules, tried to suppress all that information. And it's like, time some Rick Snay was talking last night about, or he had posted a little clip from his show. But what was talked about in the show from, I guess it was the night before, was that the pictures that were leaked, the crime scene pictures, he only told like a few people. Christine Salser was one. And as soon as he tells her, then Murder Sheet automatically knows what's going on. So I think you have a lot of these people behind the scenes that we're going to issue a gag order on this case where nobody can talk about it. But behind the scenes, we're paying all these people to go get all this information for us. So I don't know. It just kind of makes sense. I mean, we're going to speculate. We can speculate. So on the licensing requirements, let's see here. You have to, Indiana's licensing board requires firms and qualifying individuals to meet the following before they can legally operate: at least 21 years old, greater than 2 years or 4,000 hours of investigative experience, or a bachelor's degree in criminal justice or a related field. That's interesting. Clean criminal background with recent fingerprint-based checks. Okay, that's interesting as well. Liability insurance, typically at least $100,000 and listed properly in all their filings. And it would be for like the firm's filings, their corporate filings. And you can verify business entities by looking them up either on the Indiana Secretary of State website, or there is a lookup for different licensing boards, different agencies that have to have licensed people. You can go to that board. I think it's PLA. I don't know. You can find out on the indiana.gov. But I'm going to post links and stuff as soon as the live is over. But I thought everyone might be interested to know that you have somebody claiming to be a PI worming her way into investigations, and she's a felon. She's a convicted felon. She can't even carry a gun. I think she can vote again in Indiana. There's some states that after you become a convicted felon, you can't vote, like permanently. But I think Indiana is one of those that as soon as you do your, you do your time and everything, then I believe you're able to vote again. But when I was looking at the felony charge that she had, because I thought, sometimes things are dismissed, but This wasn't. And in fact, she had stuff revoked because I guess she wasn't going along with the terms of probation or something. But anyway, um, I'll put a link where y'all can read about it. But she has Erica Morse rap sheet. She has Erica Post rap sheet. There's some criminal misdemeanors in there too. Oh, and that was something. She said that she had something in her past, like 20 years ago, where, she screwed up. Yeah, she owned up to it, blah, blah, blah. That that was the drinking and driving thing. But right before that was the felony. So she already had the felony when she did the drinking and driving thing. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting that that's one way you can find out for sure if somebody that's claiming to be a private investigator actually knows what the fuck they're talking about. Because I mean, battery is they consider that a violent crime. So good luck investigating anything with that type of charge. The Indiana license lookup. It is mylicense.in.gov. It seems like I was on a different one. That should tell you whether a PI firm license is active and currently registered. It won't tell you who all they have working underneath them or under that license number. You can do a business entity search and use the Indiana Secretary of State's business search. She claims to work for Pathfinder Investigations. I haven't found anything with that on that website. I mean, nothing comes up. And it's not Pathfinder, it's Pastfinder, is what she has said. And I believe it was in her podcast or her, she's on so many things. Who knows what goes on in that mind? I mean, it's kind of like following around a drunk toddler that's been drinking Red Bull all day. And it's what's in there. I don't know. I don't even want to look, but and every time they've come on a show and they've spoken, her or Christine, all they've ever said was what was said at trial. And in fact, when Christine was asked by Gritty, well, actually it was someone in the live chat, and then Gritty asked her, what was it? Can you tell us what was found on the trail cams? And then Christine goes into this long, drawn out, there were supposedly trail cams, and the ones that had things on them that the FBI put up, they caught a psychic and her daughter coming. Okay, no, that's not what we're talking about. That is interesting, but no, I want to know who was caught on the trail cams that they had at the trails at the time of the crime. Well, she said there were, she said those weren't talked about at trial, so I can't talk about those. What the fuck? Yes, they were. Chief Mullen said they did have an image on a trail cam that had Patrick Clausen an image of Patrick Clawson on it. I mean, it was talked about at trial. So I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. Because that was just a regular one that was out there. Now, how come she didn't know that? How come they didn't know basic things in this case? Like, and I've said it several times, they didn't know. They're supposed to be the investigators. They didn't know one of the witnesses' moms was talked to. They didn't. This was in the trial. Jennifer Auger was talking to a witness, and she said, Holly is your mother or something like that. And she didn't know. So that's basic, like day one, hit the ground running. Who are these people? What are their names? What are their licenses? And I'm talking about witnesses. You check all of that stuff out, their background, blah, 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 who their family is, what they've been into, what they've been into recently, or what they've been into in their past, where they were on that day. How can you find out where they were on that day? You have to extract the phone. So did you find anything out about phone extractions? No. Apparently nobody's phone was extracted. And even the ones that were are missing a bunch of shit, because I guarantee you, when Libby went downstairs to have her banana pancakes with the fam that morning, did she not go back up the stairs ever? That whole day, even when Becky saw her with sweatpants on, but they found her with jeans on, or they found jeans and then she found the sweatpants in the house later, like Libby had gone upstairs to change. Her phone never shows her going upstairs. Could she have left it downstairs while she went upstairs? Yeah. But a kid that's on their phone constantly, like 24/7, that phone never went up a flight of stairs that day, until it was caught that it went upstairs, or not really stairs, but it went up a flight, what would be like a flight of stairs, which is approximately 10 feet. It caught that down by the trails. And we know that house, Patty house, whenever you go up a flight of stairs, it does register a flight of stairs. So why is Libby's phone not registering going up and down, or not really down because it doesn't register that, but not going up the stairs that morning to change or anything after breakfast? Why the night before did that phone stop moving at like 10:30 and never move again until the next morning? If they were up all night and on their phones and talking and doing all this stuff on their phones, talking to people, why is that missing on this phone that they found that's supposed to be Libby's phone? And if she always had it charged all the time, why was it not charged? And why was it not charging the night before? The data doesn't show it plugged in and charging the night before. So where's all this missing information? You mean that won't show up on an extraction, a simple extraction? All the other times it did, right? I mean, it's like it's almost like she wasn't using that phone until she went to the trails. It's weird. I don't know. It's just weird. So go figure. Maybe they found out more about it now. But I don't know. It just kind of seemed like the defense was left hanging with this crew, this insane clown posse crew that was hired, or supposedly hired, or whatever they were, or pro bono, or just self-promoting themselves. I don't know. The whole thing's weird. This whole case is weird. Shit don't make sense. Nothing makes any sense. You're booking people in the jail under aliases. Phone data is missing when you do have it. And a lot of it you don't have because you deleted over your files, which is, I've looked some of that stuff up. Deleting over like the cams and everything, the recorders, the interviews were lost. That's basically impossible to do. And the fact that it happened at 2 different separate locations for certain people, I mean, that should tell you right there. I mean, yeah, things can happen, but that just looks kind of iffy. It looks kind of sketchy. Doesn't look legit. Looks like you're hiding something. And I want to know who was responsible for investigating Brad Holder's his 2015 Ford Escort. Oh my God. Ford Focus SE. 2015 Ford Focus SE. He registered it in, is what we were told. Let's see. I think it was Christine. I think Gritty had asked her this. He had registered this in December of 2018. Did he own it before then? When did he buy it? Was it also registered in 2017? Did a family member own that car? Since supposedly this is definitely a Ford Focus in 2015s, 2014s, 2015s, 2016s. They all look the same, but for some reason, Brainiac Mullen only looked up 2016 models, and there was only one registered in the county at the time. You are a fucking dumbass. You only looked up 2016s, and there was only one. Was there any in the state? Was there any other Ford Focuses in the state? Maybe the next county over. Why did you just look up just in that county? Are you special? I don't even know how you got hired back on. I don't know how you got hired onto the prosecution team, except for we got to hide shit and we'll say you're working for us. I mean, freaking nuts. So my question is, are you just wanting to win a case that bad? Are you trying to hide things? Because when you go into that type of bullshit where you've got missing recordings and you only look at a specific thing because I can't look up anything else because I might find something and it won't match this. So I better just look at this. I mean, in 2014s, 2015s, 2016s, they all look the same. Why didn't you look up any other year? Because it wouldn't match who you were trying to pin it on. In an investigation, the evidence gives you the facts. You don't pick someone. Do they have a black car? Oh, well, they might not have been driving that black car that day, but let's go look at some videotapes and see if we can find a black car somewhere. Maybe it comes within a mile of where we think someone was that day, and we can use this as proof. This person was there. What I learned in class was you can't say, well, it was a black car, and positively identify somebody because they have a black car. You have to have something that is different. Like your black car, maybe it's got one white fender, or maybe it's got a bumper sticker, or maybe it has a sticker in the window, or maybe it has a cat license plate. And so it has to be something that distinguishes this black car from this black car. They didn't have that. And why the defense didn't fight that, I don't know. Unless they were trying to say, well, it can't be his car because of this over here. Well, if you're not allowed to present this over here to the judge and the jury, then they aren't going to hear that. They're only going to hear you aren't arguing that that's not his black car. There's just a whole lot of just weird stuff like that in this case, that it's like the defense, you didn't have anybody investigating for you. And if you're busy trying to come up with, this, you have this Odinist theory, and you do a lot of, and it sounds like there's a bunch of Odinists there. I mean, I don't doubt you. I don't doubt it. But if you spend all your time doing that, and then you're not allowed to present any of that, now what do you have? Well, what's the prosecution going to say? They're going to say he was in this black car at this time. You can see in his interview that he said, yes, he had a black car. Yes, he drove it. Yes, they had a gray car, blah, blah, blah. And this is why you just give short answers to cops. If you're going to be talking to cops without a lawyer, that's not very smart anyway, but because that's what they do. They twist everything. He said back then his wife would have been driving the Ford Focus and he would have been in the gray car. That's what he said. Well, but if you were driving this car, where would you park? What the fuck does it matter where I'd park if I was driving it that day, if I wasn't driving it that day? You want to know where I parked the gray car? I can tell you where I parked the gray car. And you can see in the interview, he's pointing off of the map. But then Mullen is like, but if you would have parked over here, where would you have parked? Oh my God. It's just, well, you admitted you were wearing what the guy on the bridge video wore. Okay, first off, there's no crime committed in that video. We don't know who that guy was. We don't even know we don't know anything about that. So, and the fact that, oh, well, he was wearing jeans. Okay, everybody and their fucking dog is out there wearing jeans. And everybody and their fucking dog was out there that day on the trails. Why is the jury going, hearing some of this and like, well, he admitted he was there on that time. Did you not just hear all these other people that said they were there too? And they took pictures. Where's all their pictures? Where is Dave McCain's pictures? Where are all the pictures? Where are their phones? Where's the phone extractions for them? Because the phone thing is weird. Even Edward Snowden said, I'm going to put a link up to that interview, but he said, if you have a phone like an Apple iPhone that has the battery in it, you can't take it out. That phone is constantly screaming into the air. Constantly. Like, I'm here. I'm right over here. Even if it's in airplane mode, it only shuts certain things down. He said, and that's the thing about the Apple iPhone is that you don't know what's going on at any given time. That his thing is, like for you, for security, because your phone is constantly communicating with something. Now, he said he uses a Faraday pouch or a Faraday bag whenever he has to, be careful or whatever. But it's like your phone, if your phone is not saying where you're at, then something like that is being done, because otherwise they know where to find you. And that's how police find uh, fugitives all the time. That's what they use. I know Nick said it's not accurate. Okay, so we just believe that? No, it is accurate, and they use it all the time. So there was something on the phone situation, on all those phones that they got info for, that they didn't want made public. And they would have to do that if they used the geofence information. So we got to throw that out. Well, what if you're a guy sitting over here who no one? Your phone's the only thing you have an alibi, so you're like, I'll use that. There's where that's where I was. So obviously that's not my car. So obviously, I didn't park there. Obviously, I didn't do this or that because I wasn't there. Okay, well, now we've thrown that out. Now what are you going to do? You have to argue that other stuff, and hard. And why it wasn't, I don't know. And I know, like Jennifer Auger, whenever she was talking to Ray Voorhees on the stand, she was saying, asking her, when did you see Bridge Guy? Where did you see him? And Riley says she sees him at 2:15. It was about 2:15 near the Freedom Bridge. And Jennifer Auger didn't go into that, except for she just said, oh, and that's 2 minutes after 2:13, right? And Riley's like, yeah. But she didn't say, because that's the time they were filming on the bridge. So he can't be at two places at once. If he's supposed to be Bridge Guy, if Rick Allen is supposed to be Bridge Guy, how is he down here at Freedom Bridge by 2:15, but yet he's on the bridge being filmed at 2:13? All I'm going to say is, so that's 2 minutes after 2:13, right? Yeah. Can we drive the point home? Can we say, and what was going on at 2:13? Well, how the fuck would she know? She's down here at the Freedom Bridge at 2:15. And she's seeing him down here. So I don't know. It's ridiculous. And the Edward Snowden interview was very interesting, because he said that the iPhone is constantly speaking, out there. And we heard that testimony where they said that the phone was like on the other side of town, like by the school or something, and then moved. And I read a research paper that he and a PhD professor at MIT did together on an iPhone 6. They researched it thoroughly. And they have said that when you have an iPhone that's giving one location and then it automatically switches to another one real quick, that is someone's attempt at interfering with the GPS locations. That is someone trying to hide something, or somehow someone has interfered with the true location of that phone. Okay, well, mind blown. Can we get some experts? Can we get this guy from MIT? Ask him, hey, what would this phone show you? Because he's already done research, extensive research at MIT. It's the research paper is in the engineering journal, and I'll put a link to that on my page too, on the what it's capable of, and how you never really can shut anything off, even though it says off, even though your screen's black and whatever, because your phone is constantly communicating with something. So if it's off and then you turn it on and it automatically shows up here and then goes somewhere else and stays there, they said that's not an indication of it. Because I'm all about showing receipts here. So I'm not just going to look at a screenshot somebody sent me. I'm not going to look at a screenshot from someone's phone, like Betsy Blair's, and say, oh, yeah, your Fitbit data shows you took this many steps. Did it show where she was at? Where's her phone? You're looking at her phone. That's a screenshot from her phone. That's not a screenshot from her computer at home or anything. That is a screenshot from her app on her phone. And at the top, it said, what her carrier was and everything, and how much battery life she had and her connection. That is just a screenshot of her phone. Take her fucking phone and do an extraction. Because she put herself there that day. She came within inches of the girls. She saw them. She walked right by them. She was right there. She said. So are you not going to look up all those things too? Are you not going to look up how long it takes to get to her house from the trails? Because it takes about 7 to 9 minutes. She said she went to the library and back. That's an awful long time to go to the library and back. Is that what her phone showed? Did her phone show that she was at the library and then it moved back over to the trails? Well, how the fuck would you know if you didn't look? So she's gone. And the amount of time that she's gone is about how long it would take for her to drive home and go to the bathroom and to the trails. Like, why would you go to the library anyway? Her house is just right there on the outside of town. And they asked her, do you live in Delphi? No. Did you live in Delphi in 2017? No. Well, that's true. She didn't live within the municipal border of the town. The bridge isn't in Delphi. The bridge is outside the municipal border, or it was. I don't think they've annexed any more land over there. So I don't even know what that was about. Who cares if she was living in Delphi or not? The bridge ain't in Delphi. Yeah, her house isn't in Delphi, but it's 6 miles away from the Monon High Bridge. From that parking spot at the Mears lot to her house, driveway is 6 miles. So, and at the same time, Betsy Blair's phone stops moving. The girl's phone stops moving. And Betsy Blair's seen on that video at 2:18, driving by. And the girls are not walking anymore from 2:18 to whatever time. When she starts walking again, that's when the girls start showing movement on their phones again. That's why I think this whole thing is weird. It's like all these times listed. Okay, well, you got Betsy Blair seeing somebody here at this time, and at that specific time, this happened. Or this was seen on the video at this specific time, and we know right then this happened. They're just telling you that. I mean, they're not proving anything. They're just telling you a story, and the best story wins. And how the fuck the jury thought the prosecution was presenting the better story when none of it made any fucking sense is beyond me. Every single witness got up there and said they saw a guy that was taller, younger, and had hair. Okay, every single witness did not see Richard Allen. The bridge guy that they saw was younger, taller, and had hair. Every single sketch that the cops drew had hair. The hair sticking out from under a cap on all of them. That's not Richard Allen. But his black car was seen driving by at 126 or 127, whatever they said, by the huge by the store. You can't tell jack shit in that video. How that was allowed in, I don't know. You have to have metadata and everything else. Why are we taking a picture on your phone of a computer screen? Normally, that stuff is seized in an investigation, and the metadata and everything is written down. And then you have a chain of custody on everyone who's touched that and everywhere this item went. Like, for an exhibit, we see Libby's shoe, left shoe or right shoe, whatever it was, is exhibit blah, blah, blah. That's not her shoe. That's a fucking envelope that says there's a shoe in it. Is there a shoe in it? I don't know. Could be a fucking bandana. It could be a gun. I don't know. They didn't show anything. They showed Libby's phone and all of the settings and everything on her phone. Supposed to be Libby's phone. Said she took pictures with the Snapchat app. Where's the app on the phone? Don't you think if the Snapchat app was the key to everything in the video and all that app would be on the phone and that they would take a picture showing that app on the screen? And Instagram. There was Instagram photos too. Where's that app? None of those are on Libby's screen. And that's what you would do. You wouldn't say, here's her phone. Oh, yeah, and she took some pictures with Snapchat and, Instagram. We know she did that. We know she did that with her phone. Okay. How do you know that? From the extraction? Okay, did the extraction tell you that it was through the app, or was it did somebody go to the website and sign in that way? Which device was it on? So we're not getting the answers to anything. We didn't get answers to anything. Nothing. And I think it's weird that after a trial, you got more questions than before the trial. There's only one thing that I'm sure of about this case when it comes to evidence, and that is there's no evidence that points to Richard Allen. And that's something that even law enforcement is absolutely sure of. There's nothing that ties Richard Allen to that scene. There's no DNA. The bullet is stupid. You can't use that to tie someone to you can't use an unfired bullet to match to a fired bullet or a cartridge and say, these match up. You've changed everything about that cartridge. And that's why they needed the metallurgist to come on and talk about that. And even the type of metal that it was. And in a bullet, some bullets are brass with a, copper. The The copper part is the bullet. The brass part is the cartridge. Some of those, like the law enforcement rounds, look silver with like a copper bullet part of the ammo. And so they're made differently. Hollow points are made differently than, regular fire. You got full metal jackets. There's all kinds of different things that a jury just wouldn't know unless they were somebody that messed around with firearms a lot. But what was said on the stand is not science. It is, I thought up this theory, and here it is. Anyway, so I'm just going to say rant over, because I really wanted to point out why the so-called private investigators were let go from doing any more investigating, I guess, fact-finding. Their fact-finding mission, that's what I'll call it. They were let go from their fact-finding mission. Because you can't have convicted felons digging around in stuff like that. So I think that was found out. I think it got to the defense team, and I think that's why they finally let them go. Could have been something else, but to me, that looks like the thing that, if you just, step outside the picture, you can't be a private investigator and do this and have this on your record. And yet she does. So what happened? I think it got found out. I think she was just trying to hide it, because it was under the other name. I don't know. So, but I'm going to post it on my page. And like I said, it doesn't say Erica Morse. It says Erica Post, but it's the same person. She also has one thing under Erica Bodorf. I don't know how you say that name, but another guy she was married to. So I think it might have been a traffic ticket or something, or just a traffic citation. I don't know. But the Erica Post arrests are the ones that, there's several of them, but you can see her pattern on how she is. And then when you go to the Erica Morse, it just falls right in line with all of that. So anyway, I'm going to post all those things, and I'm going to let you go because I can hardly talk now. And I know there's a lot more things that I wanted to discuss, but I don't have the time to do it right now. And I've been really busy lately, and that's why I haven't made as many videos as I have in the past. There's a lot going on here. I'm sure everybody has a lot going on in their lives, but I just had to get on and do a live when I found that out, because I'm like, if you guys don't know this, you need to know this, because what she's done is she's harmed all these families and cases by doing what she's doing. And if it's a mental disorder, I'm not saying that's I'm not going to make fun of her, but there's medication that you can take. Fix it. It's ridiculous. This just, look at the Richard Allen case. because of all this stupid shit. Look what it caused. It doesn't help the families of victims. It doesn't help get justice for the victim. All you've done is just ran around, like I said, like a drunk toddler, drinking Red Bulls all day. It's like, okay, what are you going to say now? What's going on in that brain? How does this equal this? How did you get here? There's no logical or rational explanation for it. It is what it is. And it's just a pattern of hers. She may be a good person, but has a mental disorder that's making all these things manifest. And like I said, fix it. There's medication you can take. I don't know, shock therapy, whatever, lobotomy. I mean, some of those things are frowned upon, but it may help in your case. So I'm just going to say, I'll try to do another video where I have more of these questions that we didn't ever hear about in trial that just seem to, it doesn't make sense. None of this makes any sense. And I know you guys know that. And I know you guys know the timeline doesn't make sense. But why doesn't it make sense? Well, things aren't lining up. The phones, where are the phone where's the phone information? I know supposedly in the evidence, the video where the cars are driving by, that's supposed to be in there. Well, from what time to what time? From the store. Are you sure you got, an unedited, version of whatever was on there? When was it extracted? And why, if a UPS driver is pulling up at the store and he says he pulled up there at 1 and the store has him on there at 1:06, that's only a 6-minute difference in time. How do we get from there at 1 o'clock to at 1:30? Now we've jumped. Now the videotape is almost an hour off. How does that happen? And yes, the UPS driver's name, he was named Trenton. His name is in there. So I'll put that up too, where I found that. But like those things, like Brad Holder's Ford Focus. How hard did they investigate any of this? Not only law enforcement, but the people that are supposed to be looking into these things. Because you have to rebut whatever the prosecution is going to put out in a trial. Those are the things you got to have a rebuttal for. Forget everything else. They're saying, I'm in this car at this time. Okay, where is your evidence that was not you in that car at that time? What were you driving that day? What do you have that shows you were driving that car? Is there a video somewhere? Did your neighbor have a Ring camera that has you on there? Did somebody driving down that highway that day at around this time have a dash cam in their car? You have to rebut those things that are brought against you. I wouldn't even worry about trying to bring up, if you got the third party defense, that was what the judge did. That's bullshit, because you have to be able to bring a defense. That's part of your constitutional right. Not being allowed to do so could be cause for appeal. So, but still, If you are not allowed to talk about a third party, then you better figure out what they are bringing against you so that you look into that. You spend your time looking into your rebuttal for those things. Like the jacket, like Bridge Guy, supposedly they had a receipt for when that jacket was bought a year after the crime, that Richard Allen bought that particular jacket that they took in as evidence a year after the crime happened. So that couldn't possibly be anything linked. And if it was, did you go have it uh, looked for DNA, like blood or anything on it? Bring the receipt. Say, say something about it. Bring it up. I don't know. It's just, anyway, I'm going to let it go at that. I'm sorry I wasn't able to look too much into the chat stuff today, but I did send True Grit Crime an email, and I had asked her a couple of things. I wanted to be able to actually use those clips of when Christina was saying, that, and she had said, oh, about the trail cams, saying that wasn't mentioned in court. And I just wanted to play that clip, just little clips. So anyway, I could rant all day, but I'm going to get to posting those links, and y'all can read everything for yourself and make up your own mind. Instead of me just saying, here, see, look, here's a screenshot I have. So, because we all know screenshots of an email that some guy sent you one day is not proof of anything. So, and some people seem to think that it is. It's not anything that a lawyer would use. So, unless you can actually tie that to someone, it's still on their page. It's still them that was on that, they got on that computer that day and made that post. So anyway, I'll post that stuff, and then I'll put up another video and go from there. But I'm sorry I haven't had time to really read through the chat or actually put out any videos before now. So, but anyway, I'm gonna let you go. And I thank everybody. I didn't mention any names, but every single one of you that came into the chat, I appreciate you all. Unless you said something really shitty, and then, yeah. Don't worry. I'm going to go through the chat and I'm going to read it when I get to. Anyway, actually, everybody's allowed an opinion, even if you're a dumbass. In fact, I like those people to speak because I like to see who the dumbasses are so that I can avoid them later. But anyway, and I won't watch their content. So I will let you go, and I will, I don't know, rear my ugly head later, I guess. But thanks for watching. Bye.